our CalChiro live event. Thanks for joining us again. Looking forward to having a few people on with us this week. The pot is up to $500, so hopefully you've been paying attention to that, and we're getting some people on the lives with us to not only get some great content, but to win some money. You know, who doesn't like winning money? So hopefully that's been a good experience for everybody that's joining us and things of that nature. Remember, to be eligible, you have to be a CalChiro member. You have to be on the live stream with us, and your name has to be selected, and then you have to comment in the chat as well that you're here with us. So that's the rules of how you actually win the money. We're thankful for everybody that's been participating and joining us so far. Hoping to have more people on here as well today to talk with our guest, Alex Eisner. I'll introduce Alex in just a second, but I just wanted to remind everybody that we have the fall conference coming up, middle of October, just over a couple of months away. Make sure that you're getting in before the September deadline for the early bird and the hotel room block. The hotel room block, great deal, incredible deal. So highly recommend that you take advantage of that. Property is going to be amazing. Looking to get some golf in on Thursday for whoever wants to join me with golfing and that kind of thing. So message me or reach out in whatever way possible. Like to see people chiming in on the chat right now. Make sure your chat is working so that you can win the money. I like people that are set and ready to win the money. Good to see you on here with us. Also, just a quick reminder, we have our PI symposium coming up on September 7th at the Hyatt in San Francisco. This is going to be a cool event, more of a workshop type than a straight up conference. There's going to be a panel of experts and things of that nature. So it's going to be at the Hyatt. I highly recommend that you join us for that. Going to be able to learn some good content from some people that are doing a lot of PI work and that are working with attorneys, working cooperatively with the medical profession and things of that nature with regards to how to manage PI cases and things of that nature. Which brings me to our guest today, Alex Eisner from the law firm of Eisner and Steel. He's going to share with us a lot of content regarding that as we speak today. So let Alex in the room here, and I'll let him introduce himself as well. This is Alex and I have had. How you doing, Alex? Can you see me and hear me?
I can see you and hear you. How are you, sir?
Cool. Thank you so much, man, for being on with us.
Yeah, no worries.
We've only had a chance to talk a few times, but I'm so grateful to you for all the support that you provided for the association. And from what it sounds like in our discussions, you're on the cutting edge of what's going on in the personal injury world and working with chiropractors and things of that nature. So why don't you introduce yourself for us real quick, and we'll go from there.
Sure, yeah. So my name is Alexander Eisner. I'm a personal injury attorney. I work with Sean Steel, who I think has one of the better reputations within the chiropractic world as a personal injury attorney, kind of looking out for chiropractors. I sort of wrote the book on what it means to do it right in PI from a chiropractic perspective. And so I've been working with Sean for almost 7 years. We joined forces last year. And so the law firm now, Steel and Eisner, you sort of gave me a promotion that Sean would not have appreciated.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll have to beg for forgiveness, man.
It's quite, I mean, I didn't mind at all. I think Eisner and Steel actually has a better ring to it personally, but
it sounds good. It sounds good.
I'm just joking. So Sean and I are officially partners as of last year, and it's been a great year so far. Just doing a lot of lecturing to chiropractors. A couple of years ago, we wrote a book. A lot of you probably already know that, The Intelligent Chiropractor's Guide to Survival.
Oh, cool.
It was incredible. I mean, I would go on and on if I were allowed to on how amazing this book is. And I know I'm biased because I'm one of the authors, but there's nothing out there in the space. And there's nothing out there. It's as a text for chiropractors on how to, from beginning to end, A to Z, basics all the way to advanced concepts, how to work in the PI field. And the feedback on it's been incredible, from students all the way through seasoned 30-year veterans saying, I read the book, it took me, less than a weekend, and I learned stuff I hadn't known, and I'm putting into practice right away. So, if you have a chance, I highly recommend the book. But yeah, that's me. I'm a PI attorney, and just trying to make sure we get some information out to chiropractors to help them get paid, hopefully 100% in their PI cases.
That's awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate, again, like I said, you being on with us today. Let's dive into some content, because I know, you sent me some. We talked about a couple of different things that were intriguing to me. First of all, talk to me about why you think chiropractors aren't getting 100% reimbursement on their PI bills.
Oh, it's a great question. It's a great question. It's a good existential question. Like, dry cleaners are getting 100% on their bills. And Chinese food restaurants. And I mean, there's the list of people who get 100% for the services they render is much longer than the ones that don't.
Sure.
Why it is that chiropractors fall into this bizarre category of service provider that it's just been universally accepted that they're not going to get paid what they're owed is odd to me. The genesis, without going into a history lesson, I don't think makes any sense. But we are here now, and I think there's two real kind of reasons why they're not getting paid 100%. One is case screening, and I think if you're working with a good PI attorney, and of course I fancy myself in that bunch, but I'm not alone. I mean, there are other good PI attorneys out there, and hopefully every chiropractor knows of at least one. The good ones are doing the screening for you, right? I am much better situated to screen a PI case for quality and for the ability to work it up and actually get an amount of money out of it that will allow me to pay a chiropractor 100% than is a chiropractor. Of course, I went to law school. My legal education is what's at play here in terms of the value and the sustainability of a case.
Right.
But when you deal with not great PI attorneys, sometimes we call them billboard attorneys,
sure.
Not to disparage any individual law firm, but there are some law firms that sort of work on a volume basis. And that volume basis really requires that they not be quite as choosy about what cases they bring in initially. And so they just end up signing up anything that walks in the door, more or less. The result of that to chiropractors is that you get them in the door, they immediately sign your lien. So you're like, great, I've got a signed lien. And then they get you treating, and you're treating for a month or two before this case pops up on their radar, they being the attorney. And somebody looks at it and goes, oh, this is garbage. There's a big gap in treatment, or there's
too late. Yeah.
There's no damage to the car, or there's no insurance, or it's Prop 213, or right? And then what do? They just drop the case. It's no harm, no foul for the law firm. They don't care. It doesn't affect them negatively. Once they drop your case, if anybody doesn't know this, once they drop your case, the lien is dead. You have no extended liability on that lien once you drop the case.
No recourse.
No recourse, right. So they have nothing. And now what are you left with as the chiropractor? You're left with, a client who was expecting to not pay these out of pocket, who probably doesn't have an insurance policy, a medical insurance policy that you take or would accept, back billing. And so what are you going to do? Are you going to take this person to collections? Are you going to just write the bill off entirely? Now you're operating a free clinic. I mean, these are your options, and none of them are good. And so that's why a lot of times you've got these bad situations where you get a case that's dropped, or it's worked up and then you end up with nothing because it was way overworked up. That's the other side of the sort of not great attorney problem, is that you can take a case that's would be otherwise fine if somebody were just sort of managing treatment and making sure that we didn't put too much on a lien basis that we wouldn't be able to pay back. And so if you see you got a $15,000, that's all we're going to have in insurance. Let's say there's no third-party insurance, and we've got a UM policy of 15. So that's all there's ever going to be is $15,000. If I allow $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 on of meds to accumulate, well, it's going to make my job really easy to get that policy limit. I mean, I get it in a second. I don't have to do anything. I just submit the bills. I don't even have to write a demand letter. and I'm going to get that $15,000 policy. So from the attorney, maybe the lazy attorney standpoint, racking up a bunch of meds is great, but because I don't have to do any work to get my $15,000, and then I just hand it over to the accounting department and make it their problem. And you're going to get a bill that says, oh, based on our pro rata reduction, the attorney gets paid 100%, the client wants a third, and you all are left just to fight over $5,000, to fight over 30 grand in meds. And by the way, what's the problem with the pro rata reduction is that it rewards the over.
For just a second, because I want you to share with our, especially if we have younger docs in here or students that haven't gotten involved in PI work yet, I want you to explain to them what pro rata is. In our office, we always say the lien that you get or the lien that we have is only as good as the attorney that signs it, and that's what, I think the point you were trying to make is, and so case screening, I love that first point about case screening is critical, and building relationships with people like yourself is critical, because when it comes down to finding out, is this a viable case, it really is. It boils down to you and I having a conversation on the phone before we take the case. And so that was a great first point, but I wanted you to explain what pro rata is.
Sure.
For the people that are here that don't know that term or don't understand that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So pro rata is a way of distributing money based upon percentage of the whole. So if you've got a bunch of medical bills that total $30,000, you've got a big MRI bill or a little whatever bill and an ER bill but you only have $5,000, you figure out what percentage of the whole everybody's bill is. So for easy math, let's just say that the ER bill was $15,000 of the $30,000, which means that they represent 50% of the total medical bill.
Sure.
Then if we only have $5,000 to split up among all these medical providers, we'd say, okay, well, the hospital bill was 50% of the total. So by a pro rata reduction, we're going to give them 50% of the $5,000. So they're going to get $2,500 of the $5,000. That's their pro rata share. And you do that with everybody's bill. You figure out what their percentage is, and then you allocate them that same percentage of a smaller amount of money. The problem with doing it that way is that it rewards the overbiller. So MRIs, for example, are a chronic overbiller, right? You'll have two MRIs, you'll get a $5,000 bill. Everybody knows that two MRIs are not going to be paid at $5,000. Someday I'm going to pay them $1,000 for two MRIs, right? And they're going to send me a great big Christmas basket for even paying them the $1,000 for two MRIs. But if you just do a pro rata reduction or a pro rata distribution, their $5,000, which is grossly inflated, is going to be rewarded by a larger percentage of the pie than the chiropractor, who maybe also has a $5,000 bill, but they've got 50 visits to divide over those $5,000. So what I say is, A, pro rata doesn't make any sense anyway. It's a ridiculous way to divide things up. B, it's not based in law. So a lot of times you'll hear, a third, a third, a third. Yeah. A third goes to the attorney, third goes to the client, and the medical providers have to fight over a third. It's a third, a third, a third. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, that's not written anywhere. That's not required by law. That's some old school method of dividing up money that was just sort of invented by attorneys and shoved down people's throats for a number of years. And if you don't know better, you might go, all right, well, if that's the way it works, then that's the way it works. No, it doesn't have to work that way.
That's a great point, man. It's not required by law. I love to hear you say that. And for the people that are on with us that aren't familiar with this, understanding the law is key. I want you to know we've been up to, viewers always change. And as we raffle off the money, people will come back on and things like that. But we've been up to 25 viewers so far, which is, I don't know, that's our highest number so far. I don't know if it's just because of you or because we're getting giving away $500, but I'm so glad to see Robinson. I saw Robinson Lee on here. We interact all the time through my Santa Clara district, and my friend Molly and then Jennifer are here. So thank you guys for being here and joining us. Make sure you let people know when the money's going to be raffled off. I know everybody thinks that's important. So talk a little bit more about, that belief system that every bill needs to be negotiated.
Yeah, well, that's the other side of it, right? So you've got the attorneys who are either poorly screening their cases or taking cases and grossly inflate, racking up these big bills. That's one side of why chiropractors aren't getting paid 100%. The other side is this belief among some attorneys that every medical bill has to get negotiated.
Sure.
Period. Like that you're not doing your job if you don't negotiate every single PI bill. That's not, I fundamentally disagree. I think if you have a single visit to a chiropractor, it was an hour visit where you were in the room for 52 of the 60 minutes doing manual manipulation and therapy, and you'd billed $150. And then you've got a 1 hour visit to an orthopedist where the orthopedist was a 1 hour visit. The orthopedist was in the room for 6 minutes and they charged $1,500.
Yeah.
One of those bills, I can see myself to paying 100%. It makes sense to me that your hour is worth $150. Matter of fact, it makes a lot of sense to me that your hour might be worth a lot more than that, but very reasonably paid at $150.
Sure.
It also makes a lot of sense to me that I would cut an orthopedist bill of $1,500 for a single hour easily in half. They'll take it happily, and I'll lose no sleep over that. Matter of fact, I think I did my job by cutting that bill in half and getting that money into my client's pocket, right? So some bills I think require a cut. Other bills, I think if they're billed reasonably the first time, they don't need to be cut. The point of the cuts is to bring the medical bills down into the world of reasonable, right? If they're already reasonable, I don't need to go be greedy. There's a big enough pie here, assuming I did my job right and didn't let the total medical bills exceed the policy. There's enough pieces of pie for everybody to get a fair share of it without me having to go and nickel and dime a chiropractor out of a couple dollars a visit, assuming they billed it appropriately and did the work up right. So I just fundamentally disagree. But those two things, right? You got attorneys who are either not screening correctly or over treating in a case, and then the other ones that are just cutting everybody like religiously. I think that combines to create a situation where docs are just getting hosed out there. And I'm talking to doctors all the time who are telling me things like, in 30 years of practice, I've never been paid 100%, ever, 0 times.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to say. I mean, work with better attorneys, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, I can't remember the last time we didn't pay somebody a chiropractor 100%. And I don't mean that in a braggy way. I hope that I'm not, and I know that I'm not alone in the PI world in doing that. But I also know that it's not maybe the most common. So I think if doctors were, very intentional about who they sent those referrals to or who they chose to work with, they could increase those numbers.
I think that's a great point. The intention, being intentional about who you work with, developing your local network of people and that type of thing. That's something I strive to do even before, I got involved as heavily as I am now and doing personal injury work and that kind of thing. And that's something I'm sure that we'll talk about more at our PI symposium coming up in San Francisco. I wanted you to share, you sent me some kind of bullet points about how do we increase the odds of DCs getting paid for the services that they're doing and things of that nature. So can you touch on those bullet points? Because I think if you haven't done PI work or if you're new to the PI work, these are some critical talking points that you should really be aware of. And go ahead and share those with us, Alex.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not a lost cause, right? There are ways of increasing the odds. And by the way, that's what we're doing. We're gambling. When we treat on a lien, just like when I but when I work on cases, I'm on contingency. It means I only get a percentage of the total settlement, assuming I win, right? So I'm gambling with my cases, just like you're gambling on PI cases too. So it's how do we change the odds to be better in our favor? Number one, and it's a big number one, is communication with the PI attorney.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be crazy. I don't need you on the phone once a week or even once a month, just at the beginning. And here, I'll tell you my workflow. If I get a referral in from a chiropractor, we intake the case, we decide to sign it up. Within about a week, you're going to hear from an attorney. Myself, Sean, you're going to hear from an attorney, not a case manager, not a paralegal, not a receptionist. You're going to hear from an attorney. I think that's important. I need to tell you some things quickly, 90 seconds. I got to tell you the insurance picture. What are the limits? You need to know that right away. You need to know about liability. Is your client at fault, or am I going to have a liability battle, or is it a rear end and the police report's in our favor? You need to know that. Are there any ER bills, ambulance records, photographs of the scene, photographs of the accident? This is all stuff you need to evaluate your case and to make sure you're making a smart decision by working up a PI case. So I need to download all that to you. And by the way, if you're not working with me, you need to call your PI attorney and get all of that information. And if they won't give it to you, that's a pretty big red flag. So that's step one. Step two is I need some stuff from you. You've probably already seen them 2, 3, 4 times at this point. Tell me what you know. Oh, hey man, there's a lower back complaint and a right shoulder complaint. The right shoulder, I think I'm going to be able to handle on my own within 6 to 10 weeks. But that low back, I don't know. We'll give it a shot, but it's pretty bad. Hey, thanks for the heads up. What do you think about getting an MRI for that low back? That sounds reasonable to me. How about to you? Yeah, okay. Do you have a facility do you like or not? I'll give you a recommendation if you need one, or if you don't. Yeah. How about a pain management or an orthopedist? Just one visit, no treatment, just to corroborate your diagnosis and send them back to you for additional treatment. Having 2 doctors saying the same thing's better than one, and if it's one visit and no treatment, I feel okay about it. Do you know anybody you like? If you don't, I'll make I can refer somebody. Early conversation. We've set up a game plan. Well, if all goes well, you never hear from me. I never hear from you. A couple of months later, I get all your bills and records in the mail. We send it off. We get paid. You get a check for 100%. That was all the communication that was necessary on a smaller case. Sometimes 2, 3 months in, you got to call me again and go, hey, Alex, heads up. This patient hasn't driven since the accident. Just thought you might want to know that they haven't gotten behind the wheel in the last 3 to 6 months. Thanks for that. Yeah, I do think they should see a psychologist or somebody. That's a big deal if you aren't able to get behind the wheel of a car.
Yeah, anxious, whatever, right?
Things like that. Hey, that shoulder thing I thought I'd be able to take care of. I think they need an extremity, a consult with an extremity surgeon, ortho. Do you know of anybody that is good with shoulders? Because it's not healing right, or it's not. It started. The tingling's getting worse further down the arm, and I don't like it. I want to. Yeah, that conversation needs to happen, right? But so just having communication, knowing what the limits are. I mean, I'll be able to say something to you like, hey, man, this is $15,000 policy. I don't think you should bill more than $3,000 or $4,000 on the lien. That doesn't mean that's all the treatment they need, because I don't know anything about how much treatment they need. I'm not a doctor.
Right.
But I do know how much money the case can support on lien. And so that information might be important to you. And it also shows that I'm going to keep an eye on making sure that we don't go over the policy and rack up more money. So communication with the PI attorney, huge. If you don't hear from them, reach out to them. Get the attorney on the phone. Have a quick one-on-one. It doesn't have to take more than 5 minutes, but it can be huge in laying a foundation for getting paid in the end. So, everybody's on the same page. Another thing I sort of just alluded to is making smart referrals. There are some who are experienced in the PI world who understand referrals and how that all works in sort of the PI game. There are others in the chiropractic world who, for some reason, feel like they need to hold on with both hands to a PI case and not let it go unless it's sort of wrenched out of your hands. I couldn't disagree with that more. Medicine is a collaborative approach. You are the quarterback of this PI case. You are a whole body generalist in terms of how you are keeping track of a patient's injuries from head to toe. But you're not a specialist in everything, and that's okay. That's not a dig. That's not a bad thing, right? If you were to go to a brain surgeon and tell him your toe hurt, he wouldn't have any shame in sending you to a podiatrist. It's the same concept. If I go to a chiropractor and I have a musculoskeletal injury, well, great, I'm in the right place. But if that musculoskeletal injury doesn't resolve, or it gets worse, or I have something else going on, there should be no shame in making that referral. Early and often, assuming the case can support it. What do you think, Doc?
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you. As I'm sitting here listening, I'm thinking, it's always about doing what's right for the patient, right? And if you let that be your guide, I think you can't go wrong. And you've made some great points about, I try to be the trusted advisor, but at the same time, you want to share the responsibility, right? And I think that even lends more credibility to the role that you can play in this whole thing. And so that communication has been so key for me with the right attorneys, because on the flip side of it too, I've had attorneys try to dictate the course of the care, send people out for MRIs, not give me the heads up like, hey, I'm sending this person for MRI. And I tend not to want to work with those attorneys. I've kind of learned the hard way, unfortunately, on that,
Yeah. And hopefully it's just an MRI and they're not sending
Yeah.
them out to get cut open and poked. I mean, look, there's a time and a place for surgery and injections, but that's a medical decision. I didn't go to medical school or chiropractic college. I don't know anything about. I mean, I have ideas, but I mean,
And then to your point, having that communication about like who are the people that you've had success working with, and that kind of thing. It can be even practice building for you in some senses, because I've learned, okay, these are some people that work within the personal injury world. Like, hey, I'm going to give this person a call. Say, I'm Dr. Phil. Would you be interested in meeting for lunch or going to coffee, or could I come by and drop off my referral pad, or could I come by and pick up your referral pad?
right.
That always works the best for me. Can I pick up your referral pad? Because then I get to show them, hey, I'm a regular guy. I'm here to help people. I'm willing to send you people if you're willing to do right by me and work cooperatively. And I've subsequently got, they're not going to say no typically to taking your referral pad too.
No.
So I've gotten referrals from medical doctors because they might not know anything about chiropractic, what we do, why we do it. But if they could put a face with a name and be like, I don't know anything about chiropractic, but maybe this guy can help you. That's been super successful for me too.
Yeah, especially for medical doctors who aren't, pill pushers and are like, hey man, this looks like a musculoskeletal injury that I could either pop them full of Narcan or not Narcan, Norco, or I could send them to a chiropractor and see if that helps. And maybe it does. And we kept one more person off of opioids.
Yeah.
Another little top tip here before I'll finish up with those last couple of tips. But I was just talking to an adjuster who was saying, oh, I love to see it when in the notes it says that the chiropractor and the orthopedist or the chiropractor and the PM or the chiropractor had a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And it's right there in the records. And it's a one-liner. I talked to him, we conferred on the best course of treatment. We agreed that this is what's going to happen for the next whatever. And I'm going to send them to them if it gets worse, and I'm going to keep them if it does. Whatever. It's not for every single case, but there are definitely cases where you might pick up the phone and call the ortho's office and say, hey, can I have 10 seconds of that guy's time? I want to confer with him on this case, make sure we're on the same page. That looks fantastic. I've said this to chiropractors who go, oh, that looks like collusion. That looks like we're in it together. I go, you are in it together.
Yeah.
You're trying to get this patient better together. That's the whole point. I think sometimes they get so wrapped up in that it's a PI case that they're so concerned about, what's it going to look like? Who cares what it looks like? It looks like two doctors trying to get a patient better. That's what it looks like.
Help a person. Yep. Keep it focused on the people. That's what I always try to do. So
let me tie it up with a little bow with the last two things. I know we're running out of time. The last two things I have: increasing the odds, charting and reporting appropriately, making sure your chart notes are really, really buttoned up and nice. No copy and paste errors, no gender pronoun errors from the last patient. Stuff like that's real easy that gets caught and flagged. And timely, right? Getting it in on time when they're done with treatment, getting it to me within a couple of weeks. I'm not a stickler for it, but I have cases right now where we've been waiting 3, 4, 5 months post-treatment to just get soap notes, just to get a bill, just to get anything. And it's like, hey man, the number one way I can get your bill paid is to get your bill. Like that, I can't pay it otherwise.
Money if you don't send your stuff in, man.
Oh, it blows my mind how anybody that one kills me. And then the last thing is just educating your patients on the way the lien process works, how it is that you get paid. You have no idea how powerful that is, how much trust you've built up with your patients, manipulating them with your hands every week. And if you're talking to them while they're on the table, just explaining the process, and don't you think I deserve to be paid when this is over? Yeah, of course I do. You're fantastic. You're the only reason I'm able to walk these days.
Yeah.
Then when the end comes and the attorney's like, well, we're going to go to every medical provider and reduce them down. You have patients that'll say to their attorneys, not my chiropractor. I want his bill paid.
Yeah.
I've had clients say that to me before, and I go, well, I was going to pay them anyway, but clearly your chiropractor did something right by instilling in you the value that they've imparted. One way is to give them a copy of that bill every month so they can see what it is, and make sure you're educating them on what you do and how the process works, how the lien process works, and how you get paid. Everybody wants their chiropractor to not get screwed in the end if you did good work. And I know all the docs who are here listening do good work. So those are my top how to increase those odds.
Well, dude, like I said, this has been awesome. It makes me think about, my dad's always told me we learn from Dr. Sid, take care of the patient first and their condition second, and you can't go wrong kind of thing.
Right,
So,
right.
um, well, so for those of us that are for those of the people that are on the stream right now, let your friends know it's almost time to raffle off the money. I want to make sure we get as many people a chance as possible to win the money this week. But before we do that, Alex, why don't you just share with everybody how do they get in contact with you? How do you stay in touch with you guys? Or if they have any questions for you, what should they do?
Sure, man. Yeah. So our website's Steel Eisner, Steel Eisner, Eisner, steeleisner.com. There's a For Doctors link at the top. I know that lots of lawyers have like little BS websites to try to entice various specialties to send them business. I've spent so much of my firm's money on this For Doctors page, and it's not BS. It's like a legitimate resource for chiropractors. If you're having a trouble getting your PI bill paid, there's a button there called the PI lien collection kit, and it's a step-by-step. If you have to take somebody to small claims court, kit right there. There's just an incredible amount of data in there and questions answered. And what's the deal with MedPay, and how do I get, how do I appeal this MedPay? I mean, anything you can think of PI related, we've probably got it on there somewhere. Information about the book I was talking about, our podcast, Staying Aligned. We've got our own podcast that we do once a month. I think, and it's great for chiropractors, all for DCs. So the website, steeleisner.com, and then For Doctors at the top. You can also email me. It's just my name scrunched together, Alexander Eisner at steeleisner.com. That's what we do. We're here to help chiropractors.
I appreciate it, man. Maybe we can get a few books donated for my students. I teach at the Life West Chiropractic College, and I think I'm one of the only teachers that's even talking about anything related to personal injury, and it's only 1 week, so they need a lot of education in that regard.
We lecture at Life West every year. I'd love to lecture in your class one time.
Yeah, we can put something together. We should put together a module or something like that.
Absolutely. We have a whole DC, chiropractic student module that we do, and I'd be happy to send some books your way.
Sounds good, man. All right, everybody, get ready to raffle. We're getting ready to raffle off the money. Just a reminder, on September 7th, we have our PI Symposium coming up in San Francisco. Highly recommend that you check that out.
Come to my panel.
There you go. You're going to be on the panel for us. That's a great opportunity to connect. I love it. And also remember the fall conference coming up October 11th through 14th. That's going to be a great venue, guys. Amazing speakers, Heidi Havik, Bill Morgan, great opportunity to golf, beautiful spa, pool, the whole 9 yards. So highly recommend that you take advantage of that. Room blocks coming up. September 1st, I think, is the end of the early bird. So I'm going to try to share my screen here and spin the wheel so that we can get it going with okay, good. I got my screen up here to spin the wheel. Let's do our first spin. I'm going to spin 4 names today. I had a request from Dr. Ron Benson to give the people that are actually joining us some extra chances. So we'll do 4 names this week. And in fact, let's do 5 names for 500. 5 names for 500. So let's, let your friends know they got to be on the stream to collect their money. They're still a winner, even if they aren't here, but they don't get the money unless they're on the stream and unless they're a member. So let's do our first spin. Here we go. You can see the first name coming up here. I'm going to watch the timer coming up. Our first name is Michelle Neighbor. Michelle Neighbor, you've got 30 seconds starting now. So, Alex, tell me a little bit. Just don't go too far into it because I only have 20 seconds for that first name. Is Michelle Neighbor with us at all? She's a winner, but
if she responds, then she wins the $500.
She wins the $500 if she comments in the chat. All she has to say is she's here. She's got 5 seconds to respond in the chat for Michelle Neighbor, but I'm not seeing it. All right, that's time. We're going to roll the next name. Here we go. Yeah, that's the whole concept here is we're trying to incentivize people to join us on the live, get some good content. I mean, the content's worth it. Joseph Hughes, that's our next name. You've got 30 seconds starting now. The concept is obviously to share with people some good, valuable content, but then also give them a chance to win some money.
That's
Joseph,
awesome.
you got 20 seconds to go.
Whose names are all in here?
Every member of CalChiro, every member. So there's over 1,200 names in here. Your name might even be in here, Alex. If you win,
I am a member.
Yeah, if you win, we got 10 seconds. 10 seconds to go. If you win, man, would you donate the money back? Is the
I
real
will
question.
pledge 100% of my winnings back to CalChiro if I win.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate that. We got 2 seconds. All right, Joseph, you were a winner, but not today. You were not here to collect your money. Here's number 3. We're spinning again. CalChiro Live, 8:15. And if you're on the stream with us, well, you may not even want to tell your friends. That's you want to. Oh, Dr. G, Dr. G, Dr. G, that's my department chair. You got 30 seconds. Please let Dr. G know she needs to get on the stream. Oh, our executive director, Don Benton, says there's over 1,400 names in here. So that's awesome.
Hey, Don.
Dr. G, you got 12 seconds. I talk to Dr. G all the time. She's in charge of me. She's my boss at the school. I love telling her she's my boss. So 5 seconds to go, Dr. G. You're a winner, but it doesn't look like you're here. Maybe one of the students that are on with us can let you know that you won some money today that you weren't able to collect. So, all right, let's do a 4th spin here for $500.
Don just said she would also pledge her money back as a donation if she wins.
That is very generous, Don. I know, and Don does a lot of hard work for us. David Renbarger, you've got 30 seconds starting now. David Renbarger, if you're on with us, respond in the chat. Yeah, for those of you that are on the stream with us that don't know Don Benton, she's our CEO, executive director. She does so much work behind the scenes for you guys in terms of representing chiropractic and just doing things for our association to make us ever present. So reach out to her, say hi, or invite her, to something if you make contact with her, because she'll do everything she can to help you. We've got 10 seconds for David. David Renbarger, you're down to 5 seconds. You're a winner today, but it doesn't look like you're here to collect your money. But I will spin one more name in honor of my buddy Ron Benson. I don't even know if Ron's on here right now. He's been with us, but here we go. Final spin. Let's get our final name. If we don't have a winner this week, next week goes to 600. So this week, our final spin is Marissa Moppin. You have 30 seconds starting now to come and collect your money. You're a winner. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun for us. I think it's gaining some momentum. The opportunity to win $500, is exciting. But each week going up another 100. When we get up to $700-800, I think we're gonna definitely have some names on here. And I'm gonna make sure that I remind people of your, Alex was one of our early adopters. He was one of the people that pledged to help us out in the beginning before anybody else did. So super grateful for that too. You've got 5 seconds, Marissa. If you're on the chat, let us know. But otherwise, you were a winner today that just wasn't here to collect their money. So, all right. Well, sorry, Marissa, that you weren't here to collect the money. Thanks so much, Alex, for being with us. Make sure you register for our seminars coming up. September 7th, PI. October 11th and through 14th is the fall conference. Thanks again. Next week, be here to win $600.
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
We'll